All right, so this is our review for our quarterly district assessments before spring break, so the third one. And I'm going to go through this video only doing one problem out of each section. This video was specifically made for Edpuzzle so that I'm explaining the first one and you guys are doing the second one in Edpuzzle. So if you're not watching this in Edpuzzle, you're watching this on YouTube. That is why I'm only doing about half these problems. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one, we're talking about writing systems, which means we need two equations per situation. So we're going to go ahead and just read this. Tight Tunes charges their customers $2 per song downloaded. And we continue to read and we see that, okay, total charges are C and songs downloaded are N. So the cost for Tight Tunes, if it's $2 per song, is just $2 times N, right? Song downloaded, so just 2N. The next company, Dynamite Downloads, charges $10 registration fee and $1.50 per song. So the cost for Dynamite Downloads is $10 to join or to register, and then $1.50 per song. Note that these could also be in reverse order. That's fine too. All right, the key here is knowing that per means to put the variable with that number. All right, you go ahead and choose the correct system for the word problem shown in number 2. All right, so now we're solving systems of linear equations. And before we get started, we do need to remember that we had 3 different ways we could solve these. We could do graphing, substitution, or elimination. This is set up for elimination, right? Because we've got positive 4 and negative 4y, this is perfectly set up for elimination. When we do elimination, something is supposed to eliminate. Let's look at our x's. Negative 8 plus 2 is 6x. And 4 plus negative 4 is 0. That's perfect. They eliminated. Now our constants, negative 36 plus negative 3 is negative 39. This is really super quick and simple to solve. All we have to do is divide. And we get x is equal to, let's see, that is going to be negative 6.5. And once we have x, to find y, all we have to do is quickly plug it in. So choose one of our equations. I'm just going to choose the first one. And notice that I did not write the letter x. I did not write my variable x. That's because I think x is negative 6.5. So in the parentheses, I'm going to use negative 6.5, right? I'm using my answer from over here. And now we just go ahead and we solve this thing and we clean it up. 8 times 6.5 is positive 52 plus 4y equals negative 36. We're going to subtract 52 from both sides. Now wait a second. Oh, I made a mistake. Did anybody catch it? Okay, so look what I did here. When I added up originally negative 8 plus 2, I should have gotten negative 6. So this should have been negative, and this should have been negative, and this should have been negative, and that means that this should not have been negative. It should have been positive 6.5. So this should be a positive 6.5, which means that my answer changes here. If I'm only multiplying by a positive 6.5, then this was actually going to be a negative 52, which means I need to add 52 to both sides. I apologize. There we go. That looks better. So now we've got 4y is equal to negative 36 plus 52, which is positive 16. Finally, just divide out the 4, and we've got y is equal to 4. So my answer for the solution here is 6.5 and then 4, right? It's x and y. Go ahead and follow the exact same steps, right? Hopefully you don't make a mistake like I did, but follow the exact same steps and find the solution to the system shown in question number 2. Answer in Edpuzzle. Question number 3 says, figure out which of these points is a solution to the system without actually solving. Now, if you know how to solve, go ahead and solve. But I just kind of wanted to show you how we can check these. And we do it by plugging in our equations. So please remember that these are points. So x is in the front, x is 3, and y is 8. We're going to plug them into our equations. Now I'm just going to do one at a time here. So if I write y equals negative 3x plus 5, but I know that y is actually 8, right? So I can say 8 equals negative 3, and x is actually 3. So I write a 3 right here plus 5. Then I've got negative 9 plus 5, so I've got 8 is equal to negative 4. Okay, well obviously 8 is not equal to negative 4, so maybe just write a no or something. So this is not an answer. See, I just quickly eliminated a choice by plugging in some of my points. Okay, let's go ahead in Edpuzzle and figure out, based on using this method, is B the solution to the system or is C the solution to the system? Remember, y'all, all you got to do is plug it in and see if you get a true statement or a false statement at the end. Now, just to show you guys how to solve these, because there is a question on your test where you have to solve a system that looks like this. This system is set up for substitution. And I'm not sure we remember how to do that, so let's do a quick example. Substitution means that we take this, right, since y is equal to negative 3x plus 5, we take that and we actually plug it in for y in my other equation. We substitute it. So I'm going to write out 5x minus 4y, but I'm not writing y equals negative 3, right? Can you see that I wrote this equation, I just didn't write y? Because instead of writing y, I get to write what I know is equal to y, right? Because this statement says y is equal to this. So in the parentheses, instead of writing y, I get to write negative 3x plus 5. And what this does is it means now we only have x's, so now we can solve. So let's just go ahead and do that. We've got 5x plus 12x minus 20 equals negative 3. We've got like terms here on the same side, so we've just got 17x minus 20 equals negative 3. We're going to add 20 to both sides. So I've got 17x is equal to 17. Finally, divide by 17 to show that x is 1. If you know what x is, the y value is real simple to find because we have this equation we were given, right? The first one, we were told that y equals negative 3x plus 5. Okay, well, if x is, what is it? X is 1, we just found out. You guys probably already know the answer in your head there. Oops, sorry about all the color changes. Then that means we've got y is equal to negative 3 plus 5, so y is equal to negative 2. And hopefully at this point you guys have kind of already seen, positive 2. Hopefully you guys have kind of already seen that that was my answer over on the bottom, right? My answer was 1, 2, right? My answer was 1, 2. All right, my next section is on inequalities. So take a look at this inequality paragraph, and I want you to know you actually don't really have to read all that because they tell you the inequality. And if they tell you the inequality, really, do we have to read everything? I don't think so. So what we're going to do here is we are asked which of these is a reasonable combination of rectangular stones and square stones. All that means, you guys, is which of these is a solution. So what we're going to do is we're going to just plug each one of these into my inequality. So I've got 2x plus 4y is less than or equal to 200. Now notice that I did not actually write in any numbers there because those are the ones that I'm going to be checking. And so you guys probably can just do this in your calculator, but just to kind of show my work here, I'm going to write all these out. And we're going to plug in the x's and the y's of our answer choices, right? So for option A, we're checking, okay, is 20, 50 a solution? For the next one, we would be checking 60 and 30, and then we would be checking 25 and 40, and then we would be checking 4 and 48. And remember, the whole goal is we're supposed to figure out, okay, is it actually less than or equal to 200? All right, so we're going to be checking each of these to see is it less than or equal to 200. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to use our calculator over here really quickly. So we're going to type in the option we're going to check A. So 2 times 20 plus 4 times 50, 4 times 50, and what do I get? All right, I get 240. All right, is 240 less than or equal to 200? No, that doesn't work. And then we can just go ahead and I'm going to press second enter, right? Second enter, and I'm going to plug in these other numbers. So the next one I'm checking is 60 and 30. And this time I get 240 again, which we still know is not less than or equal to 200. The next answer choice, so second enter again, I'm checking 25 and 40. So 25 and 40. And I get 210 this time. Okay, 210 is not less than or equal to 200, so I guess it's option D, but let's be sure. Let's go ahead and do this one more time. And we're going to plug in a 4 right here. And I'm just going to delete that one I don't need. And then 48. And I do this and I get, okay, I get exactly 200. Is 200 less than? No, but is it less than or equal to 200? Yes. So D would be my answer choice. It's the only one that worked when I plugged it in. Go ahead and read the word problem for question number 2. Use the inequality you were given and figure out which of those 4 options is a solution. Okay, so next we're actually finding solutions when we just have an inequality statement. And this is great because all we got to do here, you guys, is solve. And it's just like solving equations with one exception, and that is, well, we'll see here in a second. So first I'm going to get rid of the x on the right side. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides, 4x from both sides. So now I've got negative 1x plus 5 is greater than or equal to negative 8. From this point, everybody should be doing the same thing. We're going to subtract 5 from both sides now, and I've got negative 1x is greater than or equal to negative 13. Finally, to finish, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. So I've got x and I've got 13. Now, because I divided both sides by a negative, this has to flip and has to become a less than or equal to, right? Because these were negative, not this. This doesn't matter. Because I divided by a negative, I had to flip my inequality to finish. All right, go ahead and find the solution for number 2. It will be a decimal, don't freak out. Choose the correct answer in Edpuzzle. Now we're looking at graphing inequalities. If we're going to do this, there's actually a bunch of different things we have to do. If we're going to graph it, we need to get y by itself. So the first thing we got to do is get rid of this x over here. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides. Now I've got negative 2y is greater than or equal to 4 minus x. Once we divide out the negative 2, now I've got y is greater than or equal to negative 2 plus 1 over 2x. Wait a second, I made a mistake. I divided both sides by a negative. So that means that my inequality has to flip around, right? I've got to be less than or equal to negative 2 plus 1/2 x. Okay, so here is what I'm going to sketch. I'm going to draw my inequality. I've got a negative 2 for my y-intercept, and my slope is 1/2. So we're going up 1 and over 2. Now I need to actually graph this thing. Because it's an inequality, I have to decide, okay, what kind of line? It's going to be a solid line because of that less than or equal to, right? The or equal to part of it makes it solid. And I'm going to shade below it because we said less than. Less than or equal to, we're shading below. Go ahead and choose the correct graph in Edpuzzle for the second example. Y'all take the time, take the 30 seconds to get y by itself before you try to choose your answer, please. All right, next we're looking at quadratic functions. We're supposed to identify the vertex. Well, I think we know when we look at quadratic that these points, right, that's a vertex, or if we had it going the other way, like this would be the vertex, right? Hopefully we know that. So let's go ahead and let's identify the vertex for this equation. Now I don't have a graph, so I have to get myself a graph. Y'all go to y equals, type in the equation you were given, x squared minus 16. And let's take a look. All right, it looks like I can't actually see the vertex, but I know it's going to be the lowest point on the graph. If you want to zoom out, you can, but I don't think that helps all that much unless you just like really want to count tiny. Yeah, see, that's not helpful. So I would recommend going to your table and take a look, try and find the lowest y value because we saw that it was going to be a minimum, right? Like a U shape. So go down to, all right, that's it, right? That's my lowest value. That's my lowest point. It just happens to also be a 0 point, which is just kind of a coincidence. So my vertex for this looks like this, where this point, I guess, is 0, negative 16. Right? So my vertex is 0, negative 16. Okay? Be really careful, you guys. In this case, the vertex was the y-intercept. That was just a coincidence. Usually they're different. So make sure you choose the vertex for question number 2 in Edpuzzle. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do all of these 5 questions, and you guys can answer the 5 questions with the graph in Edpuzzle here in a second, or maybe I'll give you some questions from this one. I don't really know yet. Just answer the questions when they pop up. All right, approximately how high was the launch pad? Well, it looks like we started right there, which is 5 feet off the ground. Approximately how high was the rocket at its highest point? That's here, and that maximum height is about 65 feet. All right, next question. How long was the rocket in the air? Well, it hit the ground after 4 seconds, so I'm going to assume 4 seconds. All right, the next question says, how high was the rocket after 1 second? Well, here's 1 second, and so we're going to say 50 feet. And the last question is one that we really did terrible on the last test, so please make sure you guys are listening. How long is this rocket above 50 feet? Well, sorry, 30 feet. So here's 30, right? Here's 30. So how much time is passing right here? This is where you count spaces, right, guys? I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But it's not 6 seconds because look what I'm counting by. Every space is how much time? Half a second. So it looks like I'm going half a second, 1 second. Oops. Half a second, 1 second. 1.5, 2. 2.5, 3. So about 3 seconds. Okay, count spaces right there. All right, domain and range. So when you're given a function and then you're given a bunch of domain values, you definitely should know that domain means x. So they've essentially just given you a bunch of x values, and your job is to find the range. So your job is to find the y values. Y'all, if you're going to do this question, I highly recommend just using your calculator. Type in that equation that you were given. So negative 2x plus 10. And then go ahead and go to your table, right, second table. And you can see the numbers that you need right there. So negative 4, looks like we got 18. Negative 1, we got 12. 0 is 10. And 2 is 6. So my range, we're going to put them from least to greatest. So we're going to say 6, 10, 12, and 18. And that was pretty painless if you just knew to use your calculator. Go ahead and choose the correct domain for the range, the correct range for the domain given in number 2. All right, the third one in this section is talking about the domain and range, just in general of this function x squared plus 8. So I definitely want to get myself a graph. So I'm going to put this in y equals. We're going to type in x squared plus 8. And let's take a look at my graph here. Oops, I'm going to hit zoom 6. So I've got this hitting right here at 8, so let me just draw a quick little sketch. It's doing this right here where this is 8. So the domain, we know because it goes left and right forever, we know the domain is all real numbers. The domain is all real numbers for every quadratic unless we're given a specific situation or like a bounded with circles kind of graph. Now the range, since it all are here at 8 or up, right, the range is going to be all the y values are greater than or equal to 8. We have a greater than sign because they always go up from 8. Go ahead and choose the correct domain and range for the question given in number 4. Remember, graph this thing, you guys. Make sure you graph it. Maybe not for the domain, but for the range, graph it. Describe the transformation of f of x equals x squared to g of x equals x plus 7 squared. So again, just in my calculator, we're going to type this in. Y equals x squared for the original, and we know that this is the parent function, right, goes to the origin, and the new one is going to be x plus 7, and then we're going to square it. So let's see that graph. Okay, looks like we moved left 7. Now we should know this, that when we're adding in the parentheses, this actually does the opposite of what we would think. This is going to be shifting us left 7. Okay, if it had been a negative, it would have shifted us right. Go ahead and use your calculator, identify the transformation shown in problem 2. Okay, next one, we're simplifying expressions. This is simple distribution here. So we're going to start with the first term here, negative 12x. Negative times negative 1 is positive 4. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x, and finally negative 3 times negative 2 is a positive 6. Combine your like terms, and we've got negative 15x, and 4 plus 6 is going to be a positive 10. All right, so we got negative 15x plus 10. All right, question number 2. Question number 2. Oh, sorry, question number 2, you're going to do an ed puzzle, so answer it over there. All right, the next section we are looking at is writing equations from tables, and you guys know that when you see a table and you're asked for an equation, you should go to stat edit. Don't forget, since it's a quadratic relationship, you're going to choose option 5, which is quad reg. Okay, so I'm going to go to Stats, and I'm going to go to Edit. I've already put my points in there. Do you guys see how the points that you're seeing in L1 and L2 match the points in my table? Once we've got this done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Stat again and over to Calc, and we're choosing option 5 that says Quad Reg. Hit Enter until you get to the main screen here. And it looks like I've got A as -2, B as 2, and C as 5. So remember, we write that out. A goes with x squared, so -2x squared. B goes with x, so plus 2x, and C is 5, so just plus 5. Find the correct equation for the table shown in number 2 in Edpuzzle. Okay, last section, here we go. I'm going to do the first 2. You're going to do 3 and 4 in Edpuzzle. So we're looking at what is the 0 in the graph shown. You have to know this is just asking you for the x-intercept, because if you know that, it's a piece of cake. So the 0 in the graph shown is right there. So the answer is just 4. Easy peasy. The next one says write the equation. So let's just remember y equals mx plus b is our equation. It looks like our intercept is -3, and my slope, I'm going up 3 over 4. So my slope is 3 over 4x. All right, rise over run for slope, and the y-intercept is pretty self-explanatory. All right, answer questions 3 and 4 in Edpuzzle. Do keep in mind, you guys, that you can always check the answer key for what we've just done in Canvas so that you can study tonight. If you want me to reset this video, also you can just let me know. Good luck.